Hi everyone. So welcome to this video. Today I'm here with Isaac from Isaac's Eye Photography. He is a wedding and portrait photographer from here in the Central Valley. He's been shooting some amazing images, as you can see from the website right over here. And so we are so blessed to be able to have him here today to give us some insights into what it's like being a wedding and portrait photographer. So welcome, Isaac. Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited to be here. Hello, students. Hope you guys are blessed and well.
Awesomeness. So, first off, let's talk about, I want to go ahead and bring up some of your portraits. Now, really quick, let's look through, so my students know what you do. So we have weddings, engagements, some fashion photography, senior, family, children portraits, different products, and then we have some more information stuff on your website. Man, you seem like you do it all.
I try.
So let's come on over here to your senior portraits for just a sec and take a look around.
Awesome.
Wow. Now, so one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that your lighting is beautiful. What is your lighting setup like? What do you usually do when it comes for lighting?
Okay, so depending on the space and the area, I try and look for an area that's pretty large so that way I can play around with my strobes. I use two different kinds of strobes. Two strobes, actually. It's this one. It's a Godox.
Nice.
Flash point. These range about 900, depending. What I like about this is, and I left it upstairs, it comes with an adapter, so there's no cords.
Ooh.
It's basically, you're able to maneuver around. Now, the cheaper version of this, or should I say less expensive, it would have a cord and you'd have to have like a generator to keep the power on. But this gives you the liberty to move around outside and inside, and the battery life lasts for a long time. I actually love them. I use two of these. I would like to get another one for like a hair light, but two of these gets the job done.
So that's pretty amazing, because I think a lot of times when people see photos taken outdoors like this, they just assume you're using outdoor lighting, but that's not the case. You're actually adding in your own lights.
Yeah, so what I try to do is overpower the sun. This light would allow me to do so. So what I basically do is I bump up the f-stop so that way the person is clear and in focus. The depth of field might not be as blurry, but you can go in with Photoshop to make it more blurry, or just focus in on the face and lower the f-stop. That way it's a little bit more blurry, depending on what you're looking for. Now, I know if you're doing like family portraits or a large wedding party, you need that f-stop to be at least 5.6 or higher. That way everyone is in focus and have your focus point from your camera plugged in on someone's face, and that way everyone around them can be in focus. But you have that liberty to kind of, maneuver around with your f-stop. And also with the lighting, depending if it's like a really bright sunny day, you'll still get some shadows, but you can blast out those shadows.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully I'm making sense. So basically, if you're on a sunny day, boost those lights to the highest that it can be, and the person will be illuminated, but you can still see the backdrop being dark.
Okay.
Or a little bit more shaded, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. And when you were talking about that brought up a great point. So my students are just learning and playing with aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. And yes. I think usually when people first get a lens that has a really big aperture, like 2.8, they open it up because they want all that blurriness. But you make a really good point that with portraits, you usually want a little bit more area in focus, especially with families, right? Like people are standing a little different in different places, and so 5.6, 7.1, f8 is a little safer to make sure you get everyone in focus.
Yes.
All right. So now something else I'm noticing about your senior portraits is that, well, with senior portraits in particular, it's very important when you're at the school that the school is still recognizable, right? So
Yes.
what are you looking for in your backgrounds to make sure that that's still recognizable, but it's not taking away from your main subject being the person?
Yeah, so basically, what's a good thing to do if the photographer has some time, and students, if you get some time to practice with, senior pictures or what have you, make sure you try to scout out the place an hour or two before, or go out and take a look at it a couple of days prior. So that way, when you have a client, you're kind of like, where do I go? You want to have them feel confident that you know what you are doing. Especially if it's a paid thing. If it's a practice, you can kind of get away with it. But when people are paying you for your work, you just want to make sure that you have that knowledge of where to take photos. If you are going to the high school or college that the senior is graduating from, look at those. There's flags out there. There is the logo with the mascot. Anything that represents the school as a whole, or something that represents them as a student there, would be great. I've had students bring their toughest classes. They'll bring their books to represent, I'm done with this class. That's a great prop. Of course, their tassel, their cap and gown, stuff that represents them. If they were in color guard, they can bring their color guard hat, a flag or two. If they're, football players, they have their Letterman's jacket, all that great stuff. Those are really good things to remember when you're on location with your client. And what I also like about a lot of these high schools and colleges is there's a lot of greenery in certain places. So that way you can go from standing on top of the steps at Fresno City College at their library, and then go down the way and find this greenery area that looks like it's not a part of the school and looks like you're at Woodward Park or something. So you have to, and you give them a variety to choose from. And I think having that liberty to go back and forth to different little areas kind of makes their proofs a lot more to look through and be like, oh, I like this picture, then I like this picture, or I like the way this looks, versus just being stuck in one area.
And I love that you brought up the props to really personalize an image. So it's not just, everyone has the same senior looking photo. You really make it about the person. I love it.
Most definitely.
So let's take a quick look over at your weddings. Let's go on up here. You have so many great photos. I was like trying to decide. I'm like, what should we talk about? Should we talk about fashion? I don't know. Let's go with your bread and butter, because I feel like you do most of your work is weddings, right?
Portraiture, family portraits, seniors, and weddings. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick look. Oh my me! Look at these. Look at this gorgeousness. Oh my. What a beautiful moments.
Thank you.
And I love how you have, like, we just came across this like more formal type of posed portrait, but then you're also having these really spontaneous feeling moments at the same time. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh. Wow. So, and this reminds me, so, when you're shooting portraits, it's kind of a whole beast, because it's like you're doing portraiture because you're having to pose your clients. You're doing still life photography like this, where you're getting the moment, the little details of the wedding. Yes. And at the same time, you have the reception where you're getting, it's basically like doing an event photography where you're having to get all these candids. So it's like 3 different types of photography all rolled into one. Yes. How do you do it all in one day?
Well, I do drink a Monster or coffee. I think it is. I have 2 assistances with me.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yes. So I have the lights that I've shown you, two of them on light stands with collapsible soft boxes, which means it's like an umbrella. You push a button and it closes versus having an umbrella that's a shoot through. This one is a soft box. So basically I'm using studio lighting outdoors or indoors.
So let me look up soft boxes real quick, just in case my students don't know. Let's show them really quick. Soft box. Okay, so something kind of like this. Oh, now it's going.
I'm not seeing it on my ends for some reason.
Oh. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. I'm sorry. Let's see.
It's okay.
Let me try this
I hope she's not going to pinpoint a specific picture, so I'll be like, I don't know which one it is.
Let's take a look. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Walmart sells this?
I guess.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I just clicked on one. So
maybe Amazon. Wow, that's cool. Okay.
So basically, there's a soft box. So you have a light that's inside here, and then the light is shining through the white area, and it's just really diffusing the light. So it's not that really direct, harsh light, right?
Yeah. So when I tell certain people, when they ask, "What is that umbrella for? What is that soft box for?" Picture this, students. The sun is bright. So if you walk outside, that is the strobe light. When it's a cloudy day, it covers it, which means it spills out the softness. The sun isn't as harsh or as bright. And this is a perfect example of a sunny day. I have my light here. Do you see this? But if you take this off, it's extremely bright. But then when you put the cloud in front of it, wow! Anyway, it literally softens the brightness. Okay, and that's what's kind of cool about a softbox is it not only softens the skin, but it gives that skin a nice glow. And when I book my clients, I let them know my equipment because they're like, okay, I love this image. And what's good about this, let me add this. When people book you, they automatically love your work. So as long as you deliver your style, your work, you're all good.
That is a great point. And that's actually a good question for people to ask because you're established, so people know your work. But I remember when I was first starting out, getting hired or people wanting to hire me and they had never looked at my work, and then it's like then they don't know what to expect. So that's a really good question for beginner photographers, is to ask their clients, like, have you looked at my work? Because then they know what to expect, right?
Yes, and you let them know also that, I have 2 assistants or 1 assistant will be my lighting person, and all that jazz. And also what's good about, when you're booking your client for a wedding or quinceañera, there's always a pre-photo session, which is an engagement picture photo session, or if it's a quinceañera, it's the pre-picture with them in their dress, and they'll post it up or have it on display at the event. That also gives you practice with the client. You get to know their best sides. You get to know how they are as a couple, if they're shy or not shy, what to work on with personality. If the groom doesn't smile, and I've had tons of grooms that don't smile until they meet me, I make them smile. By the end of the night, they're like this and their cheeks hurt.
Aww.
So I think with engagement pictures, not only that you're practicing with them, they also know what to expect. Not saying I've had some clients here and there. I think the last couple of weddings that I didn't do their engagement pictures. So they didn't know what to expect, but they saw my work. But I mentioned, my setup with them during their consultation and all that jazz. But it's it's a group effort. Now I know that there's photographers out there that don't have assistants, and that's their style of shooting, and that's how they like their work, and that's why people book them. But with me, I kind of play with both. Sometimes I do natural shots without my flashes and strobes, but most of the time I use my strobes.
So even with, are you able to see this, my screen over here, right? With
Yes,
your website?
I can see the box.
So,
Yes.
so even with this image where, it's the bride getting ready and it's indoors and it's a very natural, unposed look, are you still using your strobes on this image?
I am. Now, if the space is really small, what I do is I'll have my assistant tilt the light up and let the light bounce up to the ceiling, and then it'll spill out.
Oh.
If the ceiling is low enough. Now, if the space is really small, like my office here, I can push the light as far as back as possible, or just have it spill and hit upward, and that way the light can evenly be distributed out the room. So there's little tricks and trends and ways to get your shot. And that's one of the questions I do ask my client. The preparation photos, where is the space big? Is it small? What to actually look for? And I know a couple of meetings before the wedding is definitely needed to talk to them about, spaces, what they're working with. And sometimes they'll bring photos to show me, hey, this is what the venue looks like, and this and that. And that helps a lot too. So that way you're not just going in and not knowing what's going on. But I've done that before, improvising, and it usually works out good.
Well, with a lot of practice, you start to know like what needs to be done, and if you have to think on your feet, then it's definitely not as scary.
Yeah, and a checklist always helps too.
Oh, perfect. I just brought up shot lists with their last assignment. Their last assignment, they only had 5 shots they needed to get, but that shot list, I mean, has that saved your behind in the past?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first started doing weddings, I would say not my first, not my second, probably like my 6th. I don't even know. But I forgot to have the sister in the family portrait.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it was really, really scary and sad. The mom was a little disappointed.
Oh.
And yeah, but I was able to have a friend that was a master editor put her in, and it worked out perfectly.
Oh, good. So they still left with something happy. Well, that's good.
But she did say, you should have a list, Isaac. And trial and error, that's been my best friend ever since.
And I'm scrolling through here, and I was looking for a specific wedding, but maybe I think there might have been some issues. Now, I was looking for the Indian wedding, because now, but I think that there were some issues that culturally they didn't want you to have them up on your site. Is that correct?
Yes, they were completely private on showing the bride's face. I remember the bride's father saying, you can put a photo up as long as her face isn't showing. If it's a profile, it's okay.
Well, and that's such an important consideration, especially here in the Central Valley, because we have so many people from different cultures that thinking about those little things kind of becomes important when you're capturing this from different people, right?
Yeah, and the contract will definitely state, is it okay to use these images for my publications, for billboards, posters, storefronts, and they would say yes or no and sign it. But most cases, I've been blessed to have clients that are like, sure, I want to see myself on your wall. So yeah, it works out okay.
Definitely. I love this. So I guess you already answered one of my other questions about helping the couples get comfortable around you. So I guess my last big question is, do you have any other tips for my students who want to go into this kind of work? What can they do to start practicing or working towards this? Do you have any tips for them?
I would say, of course, invest in the equipment. you can get down with and get away with some really good images, sometimes with your cell phone. But if you're able to have and save up for that amazing LSR, DSLR, mirrorless camera, invest in your lenses, and if you want to go the route to flashes or strobes, invest in that as well. You can start off small, but always make sure that you kind of check out YouTube, look at different kinds of methods and ways that you can kind of make your own. And just kind of get your feet wet and kind of go for it. There was, when I first started doing photography, I asked friends that had like the model look, practice with them. Make sure that you play around with reflectors with natural sun, and let the sunlight be your strobe if you don't have the strobes. Play around with all kinds of different lighting tips and tricks. I mean, these halo, lights can even serve as a good purpose. Play with diffusers, umbrellas, and there's a lot of kits on Amazon that you can get for probably $500 or $600 that come with 2 strobes, 2 umbrellas, and then the light stands. Invest in some of that and practice with it.
Yeah, it seems that like knowing your equipment is just so important, because you don't want to be on location and all of a sudden trying to figure out how to work a stand or something.
Yes, and another thing is have backup. So if you're doing a few $1,000 wedding or more, or even less, any wedding, always have a backup. Bring your backup camera if you're able to get 2. I keep my flashes and my backup camera with me. Also, if you have a strobe or you use your strobes, make sure that you have like your strobe lights, the light bulbs, batteries for your flashes, all that extra, and specifically your memory card. Make sure your memory card is large enough to put all of those thousands of pictures on it. I've left my memory card before, and I had to delete some that weren't that great, and then I had to take more just to have that extra space. So always have extra with you, and kind of go with the flow and have fun. You'll probably get some friends that know somebody that knows of you taking pictures and be like, hey, we're on a budget. Are you able to do a wedding for a few $100, $500? My first wedding, I think, was $500. And I didn't have any of my lighting equipment back then. It was just a point and shoot. Didn't really know that much about Photoshop. But if I look back at the photos, I'll be like, wow, these are actually not bad.
Well, I mean, because you started, we didn't talk about your background. You actually went to school for art, right?
Yes.
That's actually where we met. You and I met in a painting class at Fresno City College. And so you had already worked on composition and color and all of these other things that are so important to photography. It was really just learning the equipment.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
Crazy how it just kind of shifted. But if you look at my artwork, it's really vibrant in color. And if you look at my photos, it's the same.
Yeah.
I know there's so many filters out there now that a lot of photographers use filters and stuff. And I know that's for preference. And some people book people due to the filters. They love the filters. They love the sepia look or something, like an old-fashioned kind of photo. But there's trends that kind of filter around. Like I remember when I first started doing photography, it was really vibrant colors and sharp images. And now it's kind of like muted colors, washed out and overexposed.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So just like bell-bottom jeans are coming back.
Yes.
you know? You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure it'll filter, around to that crisp and clean. And what I try to do in my work is kind of do a mixture of both, giving them both the satisfaction of something that's overexposed and something that's really clear and crisp. They have like that, back and forth, and that also gives better for your work is if you can actually show both your style and maybe a little bit different. Sometimes with different angles and different filters is what the client likes. So if you're able to do both, why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why not do it?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Isaac, for coming and talking to us about your photography. I just love your images. I've always been a fan of your lighting technique. So I'm so glad that we were able to get you on so you could share with my students.
Yes, students, keep up the great work. Do not forget about your dream. You can do it. If I can do it and your teacher can do it, I know you can do it. The sky is the limit with art, and photography is an art. So go out, go for it, listen to your mentor, do the studying, do the work, enjoy yourself, and create, and have fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Isaac. Have a great day.
See you guys. Stay safe.